Hi, and welcome to Pattern Recognition. In today's video, I'm going to show you some ways to add backlighting to your composition in Clip Studio Paint. So in my example here, I have a quick sketch of a silhouetted character that I'm going to use to demonstrate some backlighting techniques. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my layers panel, add a new layer, go into my paint bucket tool, find a gray that I like, and fill. So now what I'm going to do is on top of my fill layer, I'm going to start creating gradients. The gradient tool is right here under the paint bucket tool. You can also use G on your keyboard. And we have a bunch of different options to play with here. The first thing I'm going to do is consider where my backlight is going to be coming from. And I think it's going to be coming from maybe right behind the character, right behind his head. So there's going to be a sort of vignette effect. I'm going to choose the manga gradient. To make it easier to see, I'm going to take this tool property for my gradient and pop it out. You can see that there are various shapes you can use, the straight line, a circle, or an ellipse. You also have these different types of edges, and I'll show you what that does. This is your typical straight line, does not repeat. If you want it to repeat, you can play around with that as well. But for now, we're gonna stick with does not repeat. I'm gonna have the opacity around 3/4, and I'm going to use the multiply blending mode. So to get my vignette effect, I'm gonna come in from all 4 sides. And you can see that each new gradient creates its own layer. And it's really nice and soft, so you can keep building it until you're happy with the effect. And already we have a pretty interesting backlighting look. Now that I'm happy with these gradients, I'm going to select all of them by shift-clicking all of the gradient layers. Then I'm going to right-click and merge selected layers. Now they're all on one contained layer. Now I'm going to create a layer below my manga gradient. And I'm going to go into my gradient panel here and select Photosphere. This basically creates something similar to like a lens flare. You can go in and change the color of your photosphere here if you like. I have a circle shape. Because our opacity is so low, we can keep layering like this without it being too garish. I think I like it like this. Now because we use the add glow effect on our photosphere layers, it's best if we don't combine them. I'll show you what I mean. So if we combine our layers like we did before, we do lose a little bit of the effect. Our layer has changed back to normal mode. If we add the glow back in, it does look better, but it doesn't have quite the same effect. So it's up to you if you want to combine your layers or leave them separate. I'm going to leave mine separate. Now let's play around with the subject. So first I'm going to make sure to name my layer. I'm going to call it Subject Safe. And then I'm going to duplicate. Then I'm going to use the Lock Transparent Pixels feature. With the Lock Transparent Pixels feature selected, I can make sure that when I work, the only pixels that are affected are the ones that are on the layer. To be sure that you have your Lock Transparent Pixels selected, you can see the little icon on the layer that you are currently working on. From here, I'm going to use the eyedropper tool and select the color of my subject. Then I'm going to pick a color that is slightly darker than my subject, and I'm going to use the gouache brush to paint in this darker color. You can see that I'm being somewhat loose in my brush strokes, and I'm not going all the way to the edge because I want to preserve that feeling of rim light from the backlighting. I introduced some darker shades and even a slight change in the color, just to add some visual interest. Then, using the blur tool, I start to blend out the edges. I create a new layer, and with my gouache brush, again, I add another layer of darker tones just to create some more visual interest and to give the subject a feeling of three-dimensionality. Then, using the blur tool, I blur some of the edges here, but I also leave some of the crisper edges because it makes it feel more realistic. So now with another layer, I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to call this Rim Light, and I'm going to use an airbrush to introduce some of the local color. That means this is a green tube of chapstick. The local color is green. I'm going to introduce some of the local color of what I think my character might look like. When you see a backlit ear, you can usually see some of the pinkish blood vessels. So I'm just gonna gently add some of that impression in. I think he's a blonde character, so I'm gonna start bringing in some blonde color to his hair. Maybe some of the edge of his cheek, his neck. And just keep working around the rim light area. Because we have lock transparent pixels selected, we don't have to worry about being really precise because we've already painted the silhouette. I have my blending mode set to lighten, by the way. And there you have it. This is one way that you can implement backlighting effects into your illustration. I hope this helped. If it did, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see more tutorials, please comment down below with any questions and any other tutorials you'd like to see. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.